We'll wait a little bit for the other folks to get here, huh?
It's funny, every time I type in Dorkfi, Dorkfish comes up.
Hello. Yo.
So
I know Bagman was going to try to be here tonight. Looks like we're missing Bogan. And who else? Just Bogan. We'll give him a second, then we'll get started. Got the meeting agenda up there. I know that I think Nuss started it and I added to it.
Yep.
Yep. There's Bagman and Shelly. Oh, there's Shelly and Bagman. Nice. And there's Bogan. I don't know what happened to Bagman. He was like here and then he was gone.
Hey, sorry guys, I got held over at karate. I'm driving home right now.
Oh, you're good, bro.
All right, excellent.
We're gonna get started here in a second. I know Bagman was here a second ago and then he's gone, so I'm gonna wait for him to see if he comes back. Give me a second to kind of put some things together, anyways. Oh, if Bagman doesn't get back here in a second, we'll just give it a start. But All right. I'm not seeing Bagman, so let's go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody, and Bogan, when you get to the house, just let us know. But this is the first meeting back from the holidays, and so I hope everybody had a good Christmas or New Year's or whatever else that you might be celebrating. I'll just say it's been a challenging week for me, so I appreciate everybody kind of bearing with me a little bit. I didn't get a chance to talk to Gov about the Constitution yet, but I know that we're moving forward with the vote uh, for the upgrade to the um, what's it called, to the
Network.
network.
Network
So,
consensus.
yeah, the network upgrade. So that's going forward. It seems like when we vote for it, but the Constitution aspect of it, I need to follow up with Gov, and I need to get with him this week. So I'm going to work on that. As for communications and announcements, I'll start with Fury's work because it's the most recent. I think that we just need to make sure that we take a look at that during this upcoming week and make sure that that what he's doing is impactful. It's something that is kind of on my mind because the extra $600 a week, or sorry, a month of expenditures is something that is going to be a big challenge for the network unless we have new people. So Fury, if you would you like to talk a little bit about what you've been doing and kind of how it's been helpful? Okay. Not yet, but maybe in a second. Nope, maybe not.
Yeah.
Oh, it's yeah. Okay, after I click on it, I can see it. Can you provide the link to that so everybody can kind of check it out after this? I mean, okay, I understand. I don't think that people are going to like install a Python app in order to view data. Okay. Does everybody else understand that?
Mm, kind of.
Vaguely.
Okay. Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, basically, all I'm saying is yeah, it looks good. I'd like to be able to check it out and use it. I I'm hoping that it's something that people can get to fairly easily and like just and and understand it better because having having created it is one thing, but having it be usable is a different subject.
Uh, If maybe we could reach out, someone who might be able or work on a front end for it. Because
I got a 404. I clicked the link. I got 404. There isn't a GitHub pages site here.
I did as well.
Okay, we can check that out later. I mean, it ultimately this stuff kind of comes down to like is whatever is being created something that is helpful to the community. So we just need to check it out. Let's go over. Yeah, I shared. No, I shared it with them. It's up. It's up and down. It definitely had some spikes. People can take a look at it and check it out. I mean, like the challenge that we're going to face is can we grow the engagements of Void Network? Yes, I think it's going to be fairly straightforward for you to grow engagements of the network. Are those engagements um, like going to transfer into the like a benefit of new people that's worth the $600 a month? I think that's going to be the challenge, and I think it's something that the council is going to have to discuss this week. Now that we're all kind of like back and available and around for this stuff, because this is something that we're expected to vote on essentially monthly as it begins to ensure that we're all on the same page. And I think that we're going to all have to be very you know, available and fair, not only to Fury but also to the process to ensure that what we're agreeing for is in the best interest of the chain. So, just some things for us to talk about this week, I think. Other stuff for communications announcements, DorkFi, I'll just mention the fundraising is continuing. We've had large improvements to the portfolio page. I think most people who have been using it lately have been pretty pleased with the way that it's loading. House of Voy, I didn't see updates this week. Last week we had some kind of a new interface for the slot machine that they were creating. I don't believe we have anything new for Voy Wallet, but Zarmian's other thing that he's been working on is looking pretty cool. It's a little bit above my head, but it seems like it's an opportunity for people on Voy and Algorand to kind of vibe code up some smart contracts. So that's kind of like it's kind of a neat thing for folks who are interested in that kind of stuff. Does anybody have anything else that kind of was going on this week that they really want to talk about?
Just the proposals.
Has anybody tried that stuff that Zarman did and put out there? I'm a bit interested to see who else tried it and didn't like it or not.
I haven't, but
It's got a nice UI. It looks good, but I didn't try anything with it.
so might need to wait for there's Hogan's back.
All right, can you guys hear me all right?
Yep.
All right, I'm good now, back home on the PC. Thank you.
Nice. Yeah, well, from what I saw, it looked really nice. Just it's outside of my wheelhouse for things that are, important for me to check out. So I figured I'd wait and hear from people who were using it. Let's continue into proposals. Nomadix hosting costs. I know that Nuss was doing that one.
Yep. So what I was reading through the grant manual, and it kind of seems like it should be a service grant instead of the micro service grant, but the dollar amount says under and over 10,000. So like it meets the service, but the dollar amount is for the micro. So which is it? Did they turn in the right form? The right proposal form?
Sure.
Okay. Which in the council chat, I put a couple links in there.
Yeah. So is the question really just about the fluctuation in price that he gives such a broad price range?
Well, with he's because of the micro is more suited for totally, it doesn't read like it would be in the same category.
Okay.
Like there's the server, the ecosystem service is what describes it better for what he's asking, for what it actually is.
Okay.
So
I mean, we can ask him we can take a look at it, and if we all agree that it's the wrong one, we can ask for it. But I think one thing that it's going to come down to is, regardless of the circumstance of the grant itself, the question really is if this is something that's likely to be passed, because otherwise we don't want to put them through the ringer to,
not passing.
resubmit if it's not likely to be passed.
Yeah, I'd like to if they absolutely need this, I'd like to have
Thank you.
maybe some of us could meet with WebDev, and just see what WebDev has to say. If this is this necessary for Nomadex to continue, or what?
Well, the thing I believe is that
I think
web dev.
I think if it was necessary, they would have done it on a long time ago, not now, right? Additionally, if a team needs funding, then the team should be asking for it, not a third party. In my opinion, I will always vote no on somebody else's application for a team. I don't care who it is.
But that's why I'd like to talk to WebDev to see if this is legit. Maybe I don't know the backstory on this, but maybe it is legit problem.
The backstory doesn't matter to me. If WebDev is not willing to put in the work himself or herself to get the funding, then why should they get the funding?
Yeah, that's
You
a,
don't
that's
you
a
don't get
decent
paid
point.
for not doing any work, right?
Right.
Part of the work is submitting the paperwork.
Yeah. On the other end of it, aside from who submitted it, I think Wilder did share that some info on the how much they made or did not make and hosting costs in the Discord channel, proposal channel.
Yeah, it appears it's paying for itself right now. Like it's paying the cost and what he posted.
Well, I'd like to hear that from web dev. No, no offense, but
Yeah.
to him, but yeah, but you know what I mean. I'd like this to come from web dev. Web
My
dev.
stance is the same. Whether it's not that Wilder submitted it. If it was Bagman, I would still feel the same. If it was Bagman submitted
Yeah.
for somebody else, I'd be the same.
Well,
Right? The
yeah,
only reason why the Shelley one I voted on was because he works. I mean, we know they're part of a team, right? But Wilder is not part of the Nomadex team, as far as we know. So why
He's
is
a
he
volunteer.
submitting? Well, he can
He
go
says he's
volunteer. Go volunteer somewhere else in Zora or whatever the hell he's on. Go volunteer over there. If in my opinion, and I will fucking die on this hill, if you want funding, you need to submit the application. You need to be the one answering questions or somebody on your team. Not pass it down to somebody else and say, hey, please go ahead and submit this for me. And he can go and she can go and listen to the recording, and I will tell him again. I'll tell him now. Web dev, if you want funding, you need to submit applications. You need to come talk to us. You don't have to do it in person. You can chat if you want. If you want to voice chat, that's fine. The reason why you don't want to voice chat is probably because there's somebody else you don't want people to know, which is fine. It's okay to be in on, but the request has to come from you, not from Wilder, not from Mazda, not from Gov, not from Shelley, not from anybody else. It has to come from you, in my opinion. If you guys, obviously there's 5 of us here, so if you guys feel different, that's fine. I'm going to vote no.
And my thought is I'd like web dev to say provide us with some information. If it comes from Wilder, him not being part of the team, whatever financials he gives us, it isn't that I don't consider that as part of the official DD for this. So I would just like to hear from web dev. How big of a problem is this? Things like that.
Well, part of this is also like I mentioned last time. If it's something that becomes like the status quo, if supporting infrastructure costs for DEXs becomes what we do, then it opens up the opportunity for like anything else in the ecosystem to request the same thing. And I don't personally believe that that DorkFi is so insolvent that we need hosting costs covered. But Shelley or Bagman can correct me, I guess, if I'm incorrect there. I think it's a very small cost compared to what we have total going on. All right. So, I mean, where do we go from here? We got so Nuss checked it out. We need to figure out whether or not it's the correct one. But even if it's not the correct one, if it's not going to pass, I really don't think we should push it back and say we need you to submit the right form.
I guess if you're talking to them to web dev or Wilder Nuts, I don't know who you were talking to. I would just go back and tell them, hey, you submitted the wrong form. This is the one you need to submit, but it needs to come from web dev, and we want to talk to web dev.
Okay.
Yeah, and be sure to say that there's already a guaranteed no vote if it doesn't come from web dev, and it didn't sound like the rest of us were thrilled with it.
Okay. Gotcha.
At least I should say the rest of us weren't thrilled with someone that wasn't part of the official Nomadex team submit.
Yep. If those numbers were right that he posted, then they're asking for $600 and only spending 120 on the costs. So
Yeah.
so that would need to have to come down to. Okay.
Yeah, and like the when Wilder was submitting the duplicate grant proposals that were, you know, almost identical to the humble ones, that's a little different because that's just that's something that's already been decided with different decks. But initiating a decision like this with something without the team involved is pretty iffy.
He pointed out, I believe, last time that there's nothing in the rules that says that somebody couldn't apply for somebody else. But I think what we're just trying to say is that we, if it's going to be a yes vote, it needs to have team involvement. So he can be correct, and we can also be correct in this thing that yes, it doesn't have to do, it doesn't have to be, but
That's okay. You know, he is right. Maybe there are no rules, but we are the ones that are deciding whether it passes or no, right? And if we're saying we want this from you guys in order for us to even consider passing it, then they have to do it, or they just don't want it, right? I mean, that's just the way I see it.
yeah.
Yep.
And this would, as you pointed out earlier, Haruf, this would set a new precedent. So it's different than some of the other ones for sure.
Yeah.
Well, like governments do it all the time too. I looked into that. Like they'll give Ford and GM subsidies and not give it the little guy subsidies. So I mean, it is possible for us not to grant one for one and to grant another. So
Hey, don't call Shelly Ford. He's more of a Tesla.
We came up with a new phrase this last week. Shelley was telling somebody off, and I said he gave him an Indian burn, and I said I think it's okay for you to say that because you're Inuit, you know. And that was that's become like the current thing is whenever somebody gets slapped down by Shelley, they got an Indian burn.
Nice.
Yep.
You know what the craziest thing to me now? Kids can't say you gotta say Indian style. They gotta say crisscross applesauce. What the hell?
That's too long.
I know, man.
All right, so the stuff
All
that
right.
needs votes, I know that it already came out. There's the void consensus upgrade. That seems very straightforward. The BA exit policy. I
Wilder
believe.
removed the veto.
Huh?
Wilder removed the veto from it.
Yeah. So I guess my question there, and this was Bogan's, is does the policy that we're going to be voting on have any like teeth at all? I mean, is there any point to it if it's just voting on, you know, the them like gradually exiting?
Yeah, that's where I'm standing on it. I mean, there's like three things that we're kind of working on the back burner. We're upgrading the network, and with my discussions with Gov, I mean, they want to voluntarily do that, and they're going to use their nodes and their stake to boost the vote that's required for the network upgrade. So, in the middle of this negotiation, or whatever you want to call it, with BA, it doesn't make sense that we ban them in the middle of this when they're willing to voluntarily stop, uh, receiving node rewards.
Yeah. There's another thing that we've like never talked about, but I think is something that's worth considering. You know, I believe that Block Authority feels that they have spent a substantial amount of money in the past on the creation of the network, the payment of the Cayman entity, the legal structure and framework, the infrastructure costs, including early relays and other things like that. And I feel like eventually, they're going to be interested in recuperating some of those costs. and you know, and my whole thing is like is I would think that a lot of those costs should be covered by the large amount of tokens that they set aside for themselves early on. Um,
Yeah, they
and
have like something like 400 million or more tokens.
yeah, but it kind of comes down to this whole like block rewards thing in this one, and
Right.
I really don't mind that they had block rewards earlier, and I think that they want to be scaling it down. It's clear from a Dorkfi perspective that they want to be earning APY over a longer period of time on their VOI, on what they have unlocked. And so it's kind of smart to allow them to earn APY while community members earn block rewards from their VOI. But it, while this thing kind of comes down to this decision that we're going to make over a much like kind of broader picture of what block authority is and has been doing. And, you know, from my perspective and probably a lot of the community perspective, a number of people from block authority have kind of stepped aside and are doing other things. They don't have kind of like a material impact on what's going on in the community these days. There's something there's a an argument that can be made that especially now that things are being built and the total network value is so low that they could be doing some things like fundraising that would allow for the network to succeed in a much better fashion. But I just haven't been seeing like any of that stuff, and I just don't know how we can have a conversation about block rewards, future rewards, and everything else without having a bigger conversation about what we expect of block authority as a unit, block authority members, and then also how the network looks in the next year if they're not really involved. Like, can we afford to pay the Caymans, you know, to be rubber stamping decisions? Can we afford to be doing these various things if there's no funding or if there's no one who's involved in the funding? So I feel like I understand like where this is coming from, but I really feel like this whole thing is such a big decision that likely is going to involve very big sweeping kind of changes in the way that we do things, and I don't think it's going to be solved by this one policy.
Right. There's another aspect that got brought up too during the week is that all of their VOI is open right now. None of it is in a smart contract. They can move it at will. It's not vested, so
Yeah,
that's just something to keep in mind as well.
yeah, we're gonna. I mean, we worst best case scenario, we would have it deposited into the same kind of grant pay structure that we'd like to have these other things deposited in, and that
Yep.
brings up another factor, which is we have we have this grant pay structure in place, but we have not loaded it up with anything in the past month. You know, there's even simple things like council salaries. I mean, they're they're straightforward unless somebody leaves. You know, we could have that put into the grant pay system. There's things like that are more complicated, like block authorities. You know, current or you know future VOI unlocks that could be put into the grant pay system that we haven't talked much about. And all of those things they're important, but they just need to be handled kind of incrementally so that they actually get done.
Did they just say they wanted to recoup some of the cost, or did they have figures?
No, they didn't mention something specific. They just talked about, you know, I basically have been told that there are costs that, you know, are out there and it's like, it's kind of like a down the road sort of thing.
Right.
Um, but this, you know, like, I mean, a lot of this stuff really only starts to materialize, I think, if Voy price really recovers, and
Right.
the folks who are working to kind of make that happen are essentially the projects that are creating additional users and stuff like that, and it's currently not Block Authority.
Right. Bottom line, if they've got so much void, and if they want to be able to recoup some of these costs eventually and cash out, slowly down the road, they need void to succeed,
Yeah,
and we're not seeing any sort of momentum coming from them to make that happen,
yeah,
which is kind of odd. I mean, Chris hasn't been to a single council meeting since we took over, right?
right.
I mean, Gov's been to a couple, but that's the only person from Block Authority who's even, stopped in. Right?
It's possible that it's just late for him, but he does make some of the spaces that we host around this time. Chris, I thought, I mean, he's doing, I think, what he thinks is best right now with House of Voy and stuff like that. But I feel like maybe he felt like he was kind of slighted because we took over the meeting instead of allowing him to continue to lead it. Um, I don't know what would get them here, but it's clear that Shanti's completely out of the picture, and Benny is still available once in a while for chats, but he's pretty much not involved right now either. So it's it's just hard to like pick a direction, you know. It's hard to lead it in a certain direction that would actually have some kind of success for the network.
Yeah, I know I personally haven't heard anything from Block Authority besides the informative stuff that Gov said in a previous meeting. I don't know what if their goals are any different than they used to be, or what their long term plan is. But it would be nice to have like just a quick summary. What what do they want? What do they see happening?
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe that's part of what we should request then is request like a one pager that says what Block Authority is looking for and is willing to participate in the next year. And if part of that is legal infrastructure costs, like I was pointing out earlier, we don't even know like how that stuff's being taken care of right now, or the fact that they might feel like the chain needs to come to America in order to handle those things. We need to know about that so that we can change the constitution and the structure of how we operate as well. So maybe just asking them like what they what they foresee and expect, and how they fit into the current you know growth plan for Voy would be, I think, it would be pretty important.
Well, as it relates to the BA exit proposal, I mean, we need to know from Gov, like, are they going to blacklist their own wallets from the Block rewards? He had mentioned to me that that would be the first week of the year, would be this Wednesday,
Yeah,
would be the first payout. And then he also mentioned to me that I believe Henrik had to be involved with um, doing some of the code in order to upgrade the network,
yeah,
and that he would be off of vacation this week as well. So that stuff should start rolling here now that we're into 2026. Um,
I
we
under I
definitely need. Go ahead.
yeah. No, I'd say I've heard the same thing that Henrik needs to be involved. So I would say within the next like week or so we should be asking if he actually is participating or if he's still not. And as far as the blacklisting of the rewards for the wallet, Gov announced that, so I wouldn't expect that it would be any different. He stated that they were no longer receiving block rewards. They did opt into the DorkFi grant rewards for deposits there, but those are also like kind of capped at 5%. So it's not like they're taking a lot of the grant rewards on the DorkFi side.
Well,
But I think that
the APR on the Void rewards page has not changed. I don't know if it will with the blacklisting, but that would be an indicator that to the community that they no longer are gonna receive anything, and that the community would receive a higher APR.
yeah. Well, I'd be
15.25.
surprised. Yeah, I'd be surprised if they didn't after he said it was going to.
Right. No, I get that.
He does it manually right now, like at the time that it's put out. So I'm assuming that when he's doing it manually, he can just remove those wallets and it would update. Because the Void rewards page is like, it's like a kind of round numbers based on the current statistics for how much Void is on the various wallets on nodes, right?
Right.
So he would, if he removes it, then it should do it that way. So I mean, like maybe, Bogan, if you're willing and you're still talking to them about the exit policy thing, the one question specifically to Gov would be, can you ask Block Authority, or can you draft a message on behalf of Block Authority about what 2026 means for the network?
Yeah, I can definitely do that. I'm gonna need to get up with Gov for sure, anyways. So.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the open discussion stuff, because we got a lot of stuff still to go tonight, and we're getting kind of closer. One thing that was brought up to me this week that I said that I would mention is EasyK, and I believe Gov and some others had brought up the idea that payment in WAD to people who do grant work, whether it's moderators or whatever, would be one way for people to have like a USDC equivalent, that, without actually converting VOI straight to USDC, and then having some amount of VOI in locked contract for down the road to alleviate monthly selling. I mentioned in a conversation that the council had not been interested in taking on like future debt in this way. But I did mention that I was going to kind of bring it up in this meeting again. Essentially, the question is, do we want to have the potential to put off selling down the road? For example, if Fury is getting $600, and not to pick on Fury, but that's one we know right now. Would he be able to instead accept $300 for the WAD, which is a USD equivalent, and let's say $500 of VOI vested over several years, as a way to alleviate near-term sell pressure? So creating a larger incentive for him, because it'd be 3 plus 5 is 8 instead of 600, but have a portion of it that's kind of like down the road, to give VOI a chance to kind of continue to grow and develop without a lot of sell pressure. So if anybody has any additional thoughts about that, I told the people that I talked to this week that it was kind of like not attractive, because it's taking on like a future debt instead of issuing tokens that are immediately available. But at the same time, I kind of feel like taking on a future debt is also what we did when we issued 5-year lockups to people who participated in testnet and that kind of thing. So there's a couple ways to look at it.
think it would hurt more, like if the price is a lot higher when they do so.
Yeah, it would, but it would give us a chance to attract
Yeah.
the additional people to use the network, you know?
Yeah,
And if we don't attract it and it just fizzles, then they don't get anything down the road because there's nothing to get.
right.
Yeah, right now we don't have a ton of extractable USDC or USD. I'm just estimating around like 26K. So that
Yeah,
things that can take pressure off that aren't the worst things.
yeah.
What
I
about
also,
instead
go
of
ahead.
the 300 and 500? What if you could just get block rewards on the 300, and so you could get 300 watt and 300 towards block rewards.
Well,
Get
if it's a
block
locked
rewards up.
contract, if it's a locked contract, then theoretically you could be getting lock rewards on it. So we could figure out a way for somebody to have, block rewards. I mentioned to EasyK that, that ultimately this kind of comes down to this concept of like what are the reasons why people are doing it. You're either doing this to have a paycheck, which is fine. You're doing it as a way um, to have kind of like a future payday where you're speculating on an asset that you think is going to appreciate over time. Or, in my case, like a lot of my void gets converted into unit because I really believe in what we're building with Dorkfi, which is a part of void. And so you got to look at it from like where somebody's coming from. But as a council, we could take a look at this and say, we're no longer willing to invest in things where the individual is not willing to make a long bet on what we're building, and we need to have a certain amount of it that's tailored towards vesting and not just instant cash out. I think that's like a fine thing to do, and I made the point a couple months ago that WAD could be a vehicle for this. It's something that when they do sell it off, it essentially absorbs the sell pressure for every single asset that's been put into Dorkfi. However, I pointed out to EasyK today as well that Dorkfi is a pretty young protocol. We haven't even hit all of our our larger um, goals for fundraising. We're not quite to the point where we've got a Coinbase account and we can start to infuse a lot of the USDC that we've been raising for the project into the ecosystem. And so we need to be very careful that that from Voi's perspective, we don't overcommit what we're able to dish out, because if the end result is uh, people just taking out WAD in order to pay grants, and those contracts become overused and insolvent, we basically just have to be selling the VOI anyways to make up for the cost, and it's and we're kind of back to square one. We need to be able to keep the whole thing kind of afloat in that way. But it's maybe this isn't something to solve in this meeting. Maybe it's just something to think about, whether or not we would want to have WAD as a portion of how we pay grants. And if we do, my suggestion would be that Block Authority or whoever is in charge of the Treasury um, purse strings would deposit the VOI, take out the WAD loan by minting it, and issue it from that same wallet. I don't think it's something that the council needs to be involved in unless we have the purse strings for the entire network.
Yeah, like the
Yeah,
treasury would have to do the proposal to do so.
Yeah, Scotch, go ahead.
yeah, the negatives are aren't great, but it's definitely something we should at least think over. Maybe even the treasurer is going to have to do it. We'd maybe bring it up to at least someone and have block authority come in one of the meetings, a representative, just to say what their views on that would be.
Well, this could be another one that we just bring up to Gov. I know he's interested
Yeah.
in it. So it's not like he would not want to do it.
Yeah,
but
he's yeah. We've had enough discussions with Gov that he's got like a he's extremely analytical mind, so he would be someone I would, even if he wasn't involved, would be good to run this by.
okay. So Bogan, can you please add that to your list? Essentially, if you well, first of all, is Bogan here?
Yep, I'm here. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I was just gonna say for the conversation with Gov, just mention that we want to hear the pros and cons of adding WAD as a payment for block authority or for the treasury, and to see if he could make a future meeting so that we could kind of hash that out with him.
Got it.
Okay, thank you. Still on my list is the Constitution. I'm just gonna table that for this week. We just don't have enough time for all this. Transparency report, which Fury started to put together. Has anybody had a chance to really look that over this last couple of weeks?
I read through it briefly, but I didn't get to put a lot of thought into it.
Okay. Yeah, it's on the list here. The old relay node payouts and relay visibility are both still not tracking, and they're awaiting block authority intervention. We have no way to force that to happen, and I continue to bring it up to them that it's something that needs to happen. I have a feeling what's going to happen with the relay nodes is that we're going to have to take uh, take a guess, basically based on previous performance. And some people may not be happy about it, but if they're really not going to be happy about it, they should stop running relays because it's been obvious what's happening for the past several months. Okay. Well, that's positive. But I believe that dashboard is also something that Henrik needs to help out with. That's what I think Chris said the other day. So essentially, we're waiting for Henrik to come back to solve that issue as well as the upgrade issue.
When is he supposed to come back? Do we know?
All we ever heard was after the holidays.
Okay. Back to the transparency report.
Sure.
So I see that we have one here. So we put a copy of it from January, March. I guess it was for 2025. Is what Fury showed us supposed to generate this once somebody plugs the data in there, or how? Did I misunderstand what you were doing there, Fury?
I'm going to send you the link that we're talking about, Fury, just so you know what we're talking about, because I think what he's asking is once the data exists, can we have it in like a readout that is kind of more like a summary like this? Yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, so I'm just trying to. Yeah, so the app, the demo you showed us, basically, whoever's generating this data, you're just using it to plug in dates or whatever you need, right? And are you dumping that into some database, or just pulling out from the network, or and then you creating this report? Okay. Okay. Uh, one last thing. I guess the app you created, that was more or less to just help you generate this data quicker, faster, or no? Okay. Okay. All right. Cool.
What else do we have that people want to discuss this week? We've got a little bit of time left. I know we can go a little long, but like, what else has been going on that we need to talk about? Do we want to let Bagman or somebody up to kind of talk about anything else, or like if I mean we've got a little bit of time.
Bagman is up here, and so is Shelly. So what do y'all got for us, guys?
Well, you know that Shelly ain't going to talk. Bagman.
Oh, Shelly went in hiding now that he's a dork fan.
He's a mute.
Yeah.
He's a mute now. He's yeah. If he wants to talk, he'll talk,
Oh, he
and
does.
and we will all listen. But yeah, no, I think definitely interesting conversation, guys. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to try out this AVM Studio thing, but I want to try it out. I don't know. I think the thoughts on whether or not to sorry, I lost my train of thought here reading a message. But yeah, anyways, I thought overall, there are a few interesting topics. The BA exit strategy stuff is very interesting, and I also going on to the Nomadex proposal as well. Like, I totally understand that you guys want it to come directly from WebDev. I don't know how that all kind of came about, where it was being submitted on behalf of him, but I don't think he's ever actually submitted his own
He's
proposal.
refused in the past. He's refused.
Yeah, and I don't really know what that's all about, but he does respond, or he or she, they do respond in DMs. So I would definitely recommend getting together and just DMing them and being like, "Hey, is this necessary? Does this make sense? Like, we don't want somebody getting a grant on your behalf too." Like, I don't think that's what's going on, and I do think that while there is working closely with WebDev and whomever the hog person is, so I'm not entirely sure, but they will respond and they will, be pretty straight up with you about how they feel and what they're doing. That's just been my experience, so definitely like go that route. But they won't take a call. I've tried a lot. So anyway, maybe Taco has a better line on WebDev. I know they were working on a project together at one point, but no, I'm just kidding. That's one guy we haven't heard from in a long time. yeah. What else, guys?
I heard he was going to demand answers for a unit price here shortly.
Well,
Oh,
the
yeah.
answer actually is taco selling. So
Is taco selling? Oh my god. You want to know what I think the unit price will probably end up at? I can't speculate.
Just send me a DM and I'll buy more if I like it.
I'll tell you what though, Bagman added some unit and BTC pairs today. I reached out to Bogan because I know Bogan has BTC on Algorand as well. I think that BTC is going to be improving over the next little bit, and I think that we're kind of ripe for a unit improvement also. I think the price is definitely too damn low, so we'll see where we head up. But I think that if we have an opportunity and we can create some more kind of liquidity pairs, it would be great right now because BTC will likely help the entire situation, especially since we all have a lot of unit tokens sitting around.
Yeah, and also just the Dorkfi TVL. Just
Yeah.
over time, it compounds. There's a lot of Go BTC and other BTC, on the platform, and I think just overall, like I do see a pretty decent. Obviously, it's early to say, but like a pretty good indicator that upward mobility may continue for at least a little longer. You know, potentially through the year. So, um, yeah, let's like hitch our wagons to the rest of the like crypto ecosystem and get this shit going on Unit, on Voy, because at a certain point, it's kind of crazy that, we have a DeFi protocol like DorkFi on Voy, and the Voy price is still so low. So, like, I don't know. I think things will end up moving in a positive direction, and you guys are crushing it so far, asking the right questions, doing the right due diligence. I think it's all in the open, but it does in some ways feel a little more closed, and I think part of that is because a lot of people just left the ecosystem altogether and haven't been back yet. And then, I was talking with Haruf earlier, and we were really digging in about like how much progress is being made on the new user front, and our new users showing up, and we're seeing it from a DoorFi perspective, but I haven't seen all that many new people setting up Voy wallets. And so, like, what are some of the other things that we could potentially be doing in the ecosystem to help like boost that type of metric? And are there teams out there that could be working on things that are complementary to what already exists? I think so, and there's value to be had in like setting up a point system for maybe future airdrops. I know that that's like kind of faux pas. It's like not the best thing, but at least like we get some activity and some visibility. So I don't know. I think coming from the Voyager committee meetings, I, those are some of the ideas that I would like to kick around and see if there's other things that we can do to get more activity going on from like a new wallet perspective, and people really getting into the Voy wallet. And maybe that's the thing is like do an airdrop through Voy wallet. Another incentive program that you could get, some people. And Fury's saying hackathon. I know we entertained the idea previously, but um, you know, only for new developers, yeah. And it's something there. Do we need? It's a chicken and egg problem. Do we need new developers, more developers right now, or do we need more like
Users.
users and speculators? And I think there's also like room for prediction market or other things like that. So who's going to build those things? I think you can now with Zarmian's new AVM contract tool. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, at any rate, these are some of the questions that I think we should be also like bringing to the table and debating. Like, all right, we've got some budget right now. How are we gonna, deploy this in such a way that ultimately gets new people to engage with the chain?
Yeah. Anybody else? Any other thoughts?
We could reward holders for holding. Like if you hold a certain amount, you get a percentage drop to you every week or something.
Yeah, it just sucks because no matter what you do with that stuff, unless you've got new users showing up, anything you do like that creates sell pressure.
Yeah.
That's the truth of it. But it's not like that's the end of the world. It just needs to be considered.
Oh, totally. And it's also something that we, as a from a Dork5 perspective on our team, it's thinking outside the box and strategizing as well.
Any we lost Bagman. PK, welcome. Easy K, welcome. Hope you had a good sleep. Anybody else have anything for the evening, or are we good?
I'm working on my 3% unit goal. Then I'll consider maybe putting some back into with some BTC.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm
I get
almost
it.
there.
I
I'm
get
almost
it.
there.
I was just thinking because, like, I know you've got a decent chunk of unit, so if BTC goes up, unit goes up, the total gain for you has got to be fucking great. So
It is good, but the last time I had the highest pair on unit on Elgarand, and then fucking Wilder went and bought it all on me. So I had to
oh,
pull
right.
it. So I lost like almost 1,000 unit, I think, that day. So that's why I don't have it on the pair anymore. But
Right.
we'll consider it again.
All right. All right, let's call it a night. I'm gonna go check on the dog, and we'll touch base this week now that everybody's kind of backing around.
Sounds good.
All right, nice to see you all. Thank you.
Yep. Have a good night, everybody.